Good afternoon again. So when talking luxury, it's definitely very much today about the importance, to say the least, of Chinese consumers. And so let's welcome today, François Harpers, who's the founder and CEO of Rise in Lifestyle, Craft and Luxury, and Astrid Vandland, who is the founder and president of Miss Tweed. And formerly, Astrid, you were the European luxury goods correspondent at Reuters. So to better understand all together today in this few 20 minutes, how the India luxury opportunity presents itself for foreign and French brands. So go ahead.
Thank you very much, Laure. And I would like to take a few minutes to introduce our speaker today, François Harpers, who is very much a veteran of the luxury goods industry and in jewelry in particular. François is part of the Van Cleef & Arpels family, who founded the Van Cleef & Arpels. Well, there are two families, Van Cleef and Arpels, who founded in the early 20th century the Van Cleef & Arpels jewelry house, and which is today actually one of the biggest success stories in the jewelry industry. François was not only a shareholder of Van Cleef & Arpels, but a director who was involved in the development of this house from the late 1980s to the year 2000, when it was sold to Richemont. And since then, François has been acting as an advisor for many, many luxury brands, helping them develop themselves, with, of course, a focus on the jewelry industry. François Harpers has advised many brands in Europe, but also in Asia and in India, particularly. So today, we're very pleased to have François share with us his insight about the luxury goods industry, about Asia, about India, how different the Indian consumer is from the Chinese consumer. So François, let's dive right into it. And I think my first question for you is, how would you describe the different challenges that Western luxury brands face in trying to conquer the Indian market?
First of all, thank you very much for the introduction, Astrid, and I'm very happy being here. Thanks for inviting me, Laure. Let's dive into the subject. India is a very complex market. At first sight, it's very large. It's the third economy today. But when you look at the numbers, it's not even 10% of the luxury market in China. So why is that? When you look at a country that has a fabulous history, incredible heritage, everybody knows about the Mughals and the Maharajas, and feels or thinks or has stories or heard stories about this lavish life. Today, the country is growing fast. There's a strong middle class, more than 150 billionaires. So why is this country so much untapped yet by luxury brands? A few parameters are there, of course, and it's never one parameter only. One of them, I would say, is value. This is a very value-conscious market. I'm sure most of everybody has heard this before, but it is really the case. Indians, will research for the best price wherever it is before making any kind of acquisition, thanks to internet, of course. And they will spend a lot of time looking at prices of products. In addition, design, or as a result, design has much less value for them than the resale value of a product. I can share an anecdote of one of the richest families in India was looking for a bag from a very known luxury brand. I will not mention any names today, but instead of popping up into the store in New Delhi or in Mumbai, which are the only two main capitals in India where you would find some luxury stores, they spend an incredible amount of time looking on internet everywhere around the world where they could buy a few of these bags at a much cheaper price. So, it tells you, if, this is one of these richest families all over India, that they would spend so much time and ask their team to work on something like this. It gives you a bit, the understanding of value consciousness of Indian psychology. In addition, luxury for Indians is not linked so much to social status, as you mentioned China before, as you would see in China.
Yeah, that's very interesting cultural point.
Yes, yes. And it's not so known, but But there's a caste structure in India, which we have all heard about. And in the caste structure, families are given names, and names have a certain meaning. So to use an analogy, it's like in Europe, nobles. When you're a noble, you're recognized because your name has a certain structure that makes you a noble. So in India, it's pretty much the same, to keep it very simple. So Indians are less looking for recognition because they own such a brand with a big logo saying that the logo is from that brand, but it's already given to them. They own it for their life. So, that's something, that I think is interesting to keep in mind.
That's definitely a big challenge for any Western luxury brand, right? Because Indians have already attributes of social status by their very caste and very name. So why do they need luxury brands then, as opposed to the Chinese?
Well, they're obviously still very interested in luxury brands. Products are of high quality, and given the heritage and the history, of course they are. But what is interesting, and I want to more conclude on this a bit later, is where they actually buy luxury and how they consume luxury. Because in India, among the many parameters, the experience of buying luxury is not there yet. The infrastructure is lacking. There's no real high street.
What do you mean by that, the experience and the infrastructure?
Well, we are all used to shopping on luxury avenues or luxury streets in the main capitals of the world, where salespeople are very trained, are able to share the experience of the brand, are able to bring a unique customer experience that besides even the brand, you will remember when you leave the store after you interact with the salesperson. In India, this is still very much lacking. Training is not at the same level, and also infrastructure. I mean, there's no real high streets. Most of the time, streets are crowded. They're dusty just because of the way India is structured and organized. It rains.
You have cows walking in the streets.
Yeah, but that's a bit the exoticism of India. But you also have rain 2 or 3 months of the year, high humidity, incredible heat. So it doesn't make it very simple. And there's a very, very little amount of proper stores, which in the end makes real estate extremely expensive. And it is not worthwhile for luxury brands. In fact, almost no international luxury brands today have established themselves with a strong presence in India.
So how many malls are there?
1 or 2 stores.
I think there are about 2-3 malls in India, like proper luxury malls, right?
Yeah, and only 2-3 malls between Delhi and Mumbai. Maybe you can add Bangalore, but that's it. That's it, and it's not enough. And the experience is really not there either. Among the other parameters that I would like to mention is import duties. Import duties also makes the consumption of luxury in India very difficult. Import duties are between 30 to 40% on a product. So since Indians are very price conscious, it doesn't help luxury brands being competitive in India. And they did research.
You don't do a good deal buying a Louis Vuitton bag in New Delhi, basically.
Exactly. Unless brands decide to take some of the impact on the prices, but then it would impact their margin. If they want to align prices and make it available. So what happens as a result? There's a lot of gray market, which is not very satisfying for luxury brands. And as soon as a brand or a product is a little bit successful, suddenly there's a whole level of counterfeiting, which is known in India. So it doesn't give a very comfortable environment for luxury brands to prosper in India. So that's something to be known. Then in terms of habits, Indian families still rely on the crafts of India. India is an incredible country for crafts. So they will all have their own tailor that makes shirts, makes suits, their own jeweler that would come to your home, and they would rely on them at a labor cost that is absolutely not what is today what would constitute the price of a product internationally. So this is something that exists. In fact, most international brands also rely on these crafts in India, because crafts in India are just fantastic. So this is what I could say in a few minutes in the complexity of India and the Indian luxury market.
So now tell us, what are the solutions that you would give to a luxury brand to trying to conquer more Indian consumers, whether in India or outside of their home country?
Sure. So in India, I'm not saying the luxury market doesn't exist. It exists for certain segments, or let's call it affordable luxury at least. Mm-hmm. So in affordable luxury, you can consider the segment of beauty and wellness. This mm-hmm. is clearly a segment that is growing fast in India, and digital has helped it accelerate even more. And this is clearly a big market for these brands. A second segment, which is still, in affordable luxury, are brands such as Kate Spade or Michael Kors. These types of brands are doing well in India, and there's quite potential for them. The high end of luxury, which is the other high-end brands that we all can think about, Christian Dior, Hermès, Vuitton. I'm not saying that they're not present in India already. As you mentioned, there are a couple of malls there, and they do have a couple of stores. But almost 100% of the time, they're not managed by the brands themselves. They're managed by partners. So, it tells you a little bit, how the brands are perceiving the market. I think what could be much more interesting for these brands, because India is so complicated for them to be able to have a grasp on the customer, is to be able to capture the customer as they travel outside of India. Indians travel more and more. And they travel, nearby to Dubai or Singapore, or when they come to Europe, mostly Paris, London, Milan, and elsewhere. This is where I believe a big potential exists for brands that will at some point have a ripple effect all the way to India. So being able to establish brand equity with a certain segment of customers in India before they travel, so you can convert whatever you invest in building that brand equity when they travel and they come to your stores, is something that I think is very interesting. And what I would say is a tactic that could be on one end clienteling, and on the other end thought leadership, which I think could be very interesting.
Yeah, that's
women in India,
an original point of view, I think.
Yes, I think it is original. But I think it does have a lot of potential, because if you look at India, as the rest of the world, by the way, women are clearly, a big potential for the future of luxury. And in India, more and more women are obtaining high-end jobs, executive positions. More and more women are getting married later, so they have much more disposable income. And at the same time, they're the ones who want to be recognized, and they're the ones who are lacking visibility and legitimacy. So brands that would build thought leadership on gender equality, for example, and on other subjects that are subjects that would be attractive for women, could build relationships with women, build clienteling relationships with the women and their families. And when they start traveling abroad, these families, and the women more particularly, would think of the brands that they've established relationships with through social media, through communication, whatever way they're reached. And then at that point, brands would convert the Indian consumer to buying their products. At the same time, understanding better the Indian psychology, at the same time, building relationships with a network of these families when they go back to India, and hopefully building a better, comfortable environment when it will be possible for brands to go to India. Quite personally, I think it will take still a lot of time for any luxury brand to establish a real network into India, but this could be a good way through travel retail, as well as during the visits of Indians, to capture sales at that time.
Now, tell me, how would these brands communicate with the Indian shopper? I mean, Indians are just one of, many dozens of different nationalities transiting through major shopping hubs like Dubai and other places where they like to go shopping. So how would they talk to them? How would they build that relationship and share with them this thought leadership that you were discussing?
Well, social media is clearly one of the best channels today to communicate, especially in India. India is a very big market in terms of digital. Social media is extremely present in India. It's not exactly developed as China in terms of what channels are developed, but in terms of communication, in terms of interactions, in terms of reaching out to customers. Social media is very big. So I would say social media and the specific channels that are used in India would be the best way to do this.
So what are the big
social
media in India?
No, so WhatsApp is clearly one of the best apps in India today. There are some more specific apps, some more local apps in India, but I would say WhatsApp is probably together with Instagram the two channels that I would mostly focus on. Seems quite obvious, nothing unusual there. But what is unusual, or where you have to be more creative, is how you communicate your thought leadership, and you be systematic about it and find the right tools and the right subjects that will speak to the Indian psychology and to Indian women to be able to attract their interest, and then build interactions with them through clienteling before they travel to Europe or elsewhere internationally.
So newsletters could also be a good way
to of course.
Conquer the hearts and soul of the...
Of course, and you know something about this, Astrid, too. So yes, of course.
So to summarize, François, so today you've told us about the challenges, which include red tape, tariff barriers, lack of retail infrastructure and customs, and the relationship that many Indian families have with their local producers of saris and costumes and jewelry. But nevertheless, it's a huge market, huge opportunity. And the smart way to tap into this very promising market is to follow the Indian luxury shopper wherever he or she goes, and celebrating inspiring women, inspiring personalities, because today in the luxury goods industry, it's not only about design, it's about values. And if a person believes that this brand shares your values, then therefore you'll be happy to identify yourself wearing this brand. And I think that is definitely one of the winning cards to go into the luxury market, the Indian luxury market today. Thank you so much, François. I think our time is up. It was very, very, very interesting. Stay tuned for more. And I look forward to, finding out more about this fascinating topic. Thank you so much, François. Would you like to add a few words?
No, you've summarized it very properly, Astrid. It was a pleasure interacting with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, François and Astrid. That was very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye. Bye-bye.